Krishna, I've been associated with you for quite some time. I've been part of AskKrishna, right? So I really understand the dynamics of how things works. But then I think it would be a really good idea for you to share the story of how it all started and what was the primary reason that led you to start AskKrishna. And if you can take us through the journey, that would be really fantastic.
Years back, probably 50-20 years back, when I first started out accidentally as a professional speaker. Obviously, when I started out, I was not a professional speaker. There was no other option for a college, and they called me. And in one of the colleges, the head of the department was my classmate. So he gave me this opportunity, and we started out. So when I was going to the college on my way, I was really thinking, what should I do? So I asked my friend, why did he choose me? During my college days, I used to do a lot of on-stage programs, talk shows, and so on and so forth. So that inspired him to call me. And on the way to the college, I was thinking, what should I talk? So I really didn't know what to do. So I thought something very interesting, something very engaging, something very impactful. So I went and started with a question. Usually I start with a story or an anecdote or a joke or something like that. But I thought, let me be very different in my approach. I started with a question.
Okay.
And the question is, what is the most easiest thing to do?
Okay. Also appears to be the most difficult question to answer.
Certainly. Immediately the students start jumping, See, the principal told me the moment I went there, so the students are quite closed, they are mass introverts, they have not opened their mouths.
Right.
So obviously the engager was very different.
Yeah.
And the engagement was totally different. The experience was totally new. So the moment I asked a question and it seemed to be easy, so they started participating. They started interacting.
Right.
Lot of things started flowing out. So they had to answer because I didn't know what to talk and they knew I stopped the question.
So they have no choice but to answer.
Absolutely. So the principal saw that for the first time their students started opening up, the boys, girls, they started opening up. So, the question was, very simple. What's the most easiest thing to do? So initially all the rudiments, the basic things, eating is the most easiest thing to do, sleeping is the most easiest thing to do. So I kept on, giving them counter thoughts, not counter arguments.
Yeah.
It is not, I was not negating them saying that, no, sleeping is not the easiest thing to do. Something else is easy. No, not that way. I asked them, suppose some of your loved ones or yourself is going to die shortly. Would you still say eating and sleeping would be the most easiest thing to do? I'm asking you now.
It's a very difficult question to answer, but yeah, definitely no.
Definitely no. Therefore, they understood emotions played an important part in their life.
Right.
So, a simple question started opening up their channels, opening up their mind. It started to make them think. And that is the most difficult thing.
Right.
And that was happening very spontaneously.
Right.
So that is where we saw a lot of connect between both of us. They started coming out with so many different questions, so many different answers, from sleeping, eating, criticizing others. So, all of them said, criticizing others could be the most easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? But I said, if like a chief minister, and then I remember, I think Jayalalitha was the chief minister, and I said, can you go and stand in front of Jayalalitha and criticize her? You know the consequence. Even if she is magnanimously going to accept it or follow us or not.
Yeah.
So you will also look at, lot of things before criticizing. Whether there's going to be any impact on me negatively, whether I should criticize, whether it's the right place. If there's so much of effort in doing certain things, and where there's an effort involved, and when the effort is too high, certainly that is not the most easiest thing to do.
Yeah, in a way, when we talk about this, suddenly everything that seemed so simple and natural is suddenly seeming to be complicated.
Yes, absolutely. We take things for granted.
Right.
We take, absolutely things for granted. And that becomes another challenge. Even in our relationships, we take, the spouse for granted. We take, it is after my child, my children, my work. It is after myself, my parents. It's after old age. We take so many things for granted. So coming back to the story part, then I understood though I didn't have a very concrete answer, something, as I spoke, I understood something that is totally effortless is really the easiest thing to do. Something, an action that is totally effortless.
What is that totally effortless thing to do? Is it doing something? I mean, what is that that is so effortless?
You being your own self is totally effortless.
But then a lot of people, especially, I hear that be yourself. And sometimes or the other people tend to make it look like it's a process, I want to be myself. What is it to be myself? Is it something that I have to become? Is it something that I have to practice?
No, if you practice, if you have to become, that's an effort there.
Yeah.
A lion, being a lion, that's no effort. You being your own self, and I being my own self, and all of you being your own self, has absolutely no effort. It's an effortless action. It's completely effortless.
Right.
It's very obvious. It's a fact. We are dealing with facts. It is not an illusion. It is not an imagination. It is not a good storyline. It is a fact. Me being myself and you being yourself is the most easiest thing to do. Why? Because it's an effortless way of living. But the moment you say, I want to be like Yaagneshwaran, I want to be like Krishna, or I want to be like Shah Rukh Khan, or I want to be like Trump or Modi, then I need effort to do it. Moment the lion thinks it has to be like another lion, or the lion thinks it has to be like a tiger or a deer, it involves tremendous effort and energy. But for me, being myself is absolutely simple, absolutely easy, absolutely effortless. But a very important question you have asked, how to be myself? This is something a girl student in some college over the years asked me. Till then I used to go talk this used to be a very catchy topic. Colleges started inviting me. I used to go to numerous colleges, quite a few corporates then, organizations then. But suddenly one girl asked me, sir, you are saying being myself is the most easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
How to be myself? The question you asked.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then I didn't have a ready-made answer. When I was prodding into myself as I was talking, discussing, filling the gaps of my blankness as I was dialoguing with the students, if I am going to tell you how to be yourself, it means I am telling you how to be yourself. In that sense, you are going to copy my technique. If you are going to copy my technique, you are going to copy my way of doing things. That is what the question how implies. If you ask me how, and if I tell you how, you are going to copy it, imitate it, follow the technique, and you mean to say copying my technique, you will be yourself? And you will be like me, not yourself. Right? So it's a very obvious point. That struck me. Then I said, we have to have a paradigm shift in our approach. The question is not how to be myself. The question is what it is to be myself. What it takes to be myself.
Right. So that's the moment when Krishna asked himself and AskKrishna came up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. And since you are into mindfulness and you're a mindfulness coach yourself, you go around teaching the techniques of mindfulness and how it works in its essence. There is a lot of confusion, especially between what mindfulness is, and a lot of people tend to talk about meditation the moment somebody talks of mindfulness. Right? Is meditating mindfulness, or is mindfulness something else? If you can take us through it.
See, meditation is mindfulness.
Okay.
And mindfulness is meditation. But you started this question, you go and teach techniques on mindfulness.
Yeah.
There's no technique to be mindful. The moment by moment awareness is mindful.
Okay.
But how can you practice a technique and then say I'll be mindful later? Either you are mindful now or not.
Right.
That's it. I'm not saying you are either mindful now or never.
Right.
Either you are mindful this moment or you are not mindful this moment. It's
Right.
as simple as that. There's no technique involved. You have to be aware.
Right.
Right? If you ask me how to be aware, you are asking again for how technique.
Techniques.
There are no techniques. And all the meditation we know today, the people practice, the people they teach meditation, obviously it involves a technique. When there's a technique involved, then there's an outcome involved. So you are either going back to the past to make sure the technique is right, therefore your outcome is as per the technique.
As desired.
As desired. So where is the present now? In the present you are thinking about the past, the technique, and the future about the outcome. So this is the meditation people teach today. And they call it meditation. Meditation by itself is a thoughtless state. It's a state of being. It's a state of understanding. It's a state of understanding yourself. In understanding yourself, what's the technique? How do you understand yourself with my technique?
It's not possible.
It's not possible. It's such a childish thing. When people talk about meditation and mindfulness and say, I will give you a breathing technique and you follow the breath and therefore you are aware. So I am all the time being worried, being anxious, whether I am breathing rightly, whether I am counting rightly, all these stuff, and I am looking for an outcome. Is it possible to have a technique and then say there is no outcome to it?
It becomes more like consuming a medicine and thinking that I will get cured.
Yes, I would categorize these things as certain mental exercises. As you go to a gym for physical health, you do certain techniques as mental exercises where it can expand your brain capacity. Not necessarily that capacity will be mindful.
Right.
That capacity will obviously will help you to concentrate more, to work more, to take more of the nonsense which you are already taking.
A quick question here. We talk of mindfulness, and you, as you pointed out, that it's moment-to-moment awareness. Now, there is a certain school of thought, or there is a certain school of discussion where people ask, can I be mindful all the time? Right? Can I be mindful 24/7? Now, talking of it, isn't that in itself an expectation of an outcome that I want to be like this for a long time? Is it mindfulness?
First, I like to understand why somebody wants to be mindful 24/7. Why? Because if you look at the question, the person who's answering the question, if you look at his mind very intensively, you understand that when I say why I want to be mindful 24/7 or continuously, because I feel being mindful can give me some additional power, some additional edge, some additional outcome, a better life, better living. Therefore, I am concerned that I have to have that better life, better living, that extra power all the time. So I am more concerned about the outcome. So I am automatically dragged into the future. I am automatically pushed into the future. Therefore, I am very concerned whether there is a technique to follow, whether can I be mindful all the time, is it possible for me to be aware 24/7. So, what is awareness is something, let's leave out for a moment.
Yeah.
But why you want to be aware 24/7? Why do you want to be mindful continuously? Because obviously you see a benefit out of it and you want that leisure to continue. You are driven by fear now. You are driven by fear whether, if I am not able to continuously practice 24/7, I may miss out on something. Therefore, am I capable? Do I have the capacity to be mindful 24/7? Is a question that is born out of fear.
Great. So I'll ask one last question. I recently have been in the western part of the world, especially in Europe, and so since this is an opportunity for me to ask Krishna in person directly now, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to certain belief systems, or I don't know if I can call this belief systems, the techniques that are practiced for any sort of meditation and all of that. Spirituality in this probably means that being able to see other dimensions and all of these things. Now, this cannot be part of everyone's experience. Somebody can, somebody cannot. I don't even know if that is really possible because it's not in my experience. So how do you see that? How do you see that as a possibility?
No, again, when you ask this question, why or how somebody can be mindful 24/7, is it possible?
Yeah.
When I asked you back, why you are interested to be mindful 24/7? The same thing I like to know. Why someone in Europe or India, even in India we do all this nonsense actually, right? So when we look at it from that perspective, I like to know why you want to get into another dimension. What makes you to drive yourself into some other dimension? What is wrong with the current dimension you are living with? Obviously you feel there's something lacking in the current dimension. Exactly. There's something you don't have, something that is to be filled, which is not available in the current dimension. So you feel an internal poverty, an internal emptiness, an internal vacancy, and in the current dimension, you are not able to fulfill that. Therefore, there is a pursuit, there is a search, there is obviously a mental creation, an illusion, an imagination, an experience that is demanding an alternative dimension. Otherwise, why would you search for an alternate dimension? If I have everything here at this moment, if I am able to live my life this moment fully, comprehensively, completely, right? And I am filled with myself, in that sense, not self-centeredness. I am complete by myself, I am perfect by myself. If that is the way one has to live, and that is the way one has to live. If that is not happening, I am filled with fear. Because at this current moment, in this current dimension, if I may call us living in this moment as the current dimension, in this current dimension, I feel I lack something. Therefore, I fear I am losing out on something. Therefore, I want to fill myself with something. I am in pursuit of another dimension. The experience is something that you are creating now. A second, third dimension. Obviously, there is a demand for you for experience. Right? Because this current experience is not happy. The current experience is painful. This current experience is driven by fear. There is a poverty. You want to run away, escape from it. It fears you. Therefore, that demand of experience is what is hallucinating or illusionizing a special dimension.
So you mean to say that people talking about spirit animals, people talking about other dimensions, or the need for an affirmation, or when I say affirmations, the positives that I talk about myself, talk to myself, and all of that, you mean to say that all of this is just driven by fear?
Is it not a fact? The moment, let us say, I have a loved one, right? I have a son back home who's 10 years old. Now something terribly happening to him and it is going out of my control, or it seems to be out of my control. Immediately I start praying. I start invoking gods. I start going in search of temples. I start invoking prayers. I start calling gurus. I start searching for astrologers, psychiatrists, psychologists and whatnot. Why? Because I start believing in all these things.
Because it's not in my control.
It's not in my control. Why? The moment when I say it's not in my control, that forwards fear. And my fear drives me into these spirit animals and all the rest of it, and trust me, they are absolute nonsense.
Right. I think he's gonna really, create a lot of interest. Especially, I've seen a lot of interesting content on AskKrishna as well. So, would you like to add some final words on what AskKrishna offers for the people who come here as their customers, or people who come to your institute? So what is AskKrishna all about?
See, at AskKrishna Center for Mindfulness, we provide authentic intelligence on mindfulness. Mindfulness in the aspects of organization, leadership, life and living. So we don't segregate. The person at home and the person at office is one and the same. And how do you as an individual, how do you as a person live a comprehensive, complete life without saying that I am happy at home, I am unhappy at work, right? So this is the fundamental areas where we work. We work with lot of organizations, lot of corporates, lot of individual leaders, individuals, right, homemakers, students, to make them understand that mindfulness can be an integral part, and it is an integral part of life and living, and we provide the entire intelligence for you to understand what mindfulness is all about and how you can take it to your life wherever you are.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the brief introduction, and let's talk more in the further episodes. Thank you so much, Krishna.
Thank you so much.